Guys, I share coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video, guys. Hopefully it finds you all doing well. Thanks for joining me for another Raid Shadow Legends champion guide here. We have a really cool champion conceptually. We're going to go ahead and be the judge of, is this dude actually worth upgrading, worth your time and your precious resources? It's none other than Baroth The Bloodsoaked. Let's see, Lucifer Dreams. I kind of like the name there, man. Could you potentially do a Baroth the Bloodsoaked video? Really want to see this character working. He's not as bad as people think, although probably better opinions or options, excuse me. I don't know if you think it'd be cool. Thanks. Hey, you know what, Lucifer? Absolutely happy to do a guide on this champion. And I tend to be one of those weirdos who actually has a little bit of love for this champion. Now, I first discovered him, well, I knew he existed, but I first actually upgraded him and started using him for an HP, epic HP only secret room on one of the Doom Tower rotations, right? And I only had, there's not that many of these champions, let alone there's not that many who actually put out any sort of damage at all. That's where Baroth, I don't know, tomato, tomato, potato, potato. This dude, he caught my eye. First of all, aesthetically, I mean, he is literally blood-soaked. I mean, he's dripping blood. So pretty cool. Honestly, the aesthetic is pretty dang cool on this dude. He's got blood coming from everywhere. Cool-looking champion. I like the helmet. I like the motif here. A Force Affinity, obviously a Barbarian. HP base, as we already mentioned, on his A1. So all of his abilities have these multi-hits. In all of his abilities, something does a little bit, like each hit does something else, right? So on his first attack, Gilded Weapons attacks one enemy 2 times, which is cool too because it fits again with the aesthetic of having the two, axes or whatever. Attacks attacks one enemy 2 times. Each enemy would be OP. First hit has a 30% chance of filling this champion's turn meter by 10%. The second hit has a 20%, make it a 30 when booked, of decreasing the target's turn meter by 10%. So it could just be stealing, but whatever. So not a bad little control on the A1. On Splattering Hacks, love the name. On a 3-turn cooldown, attacks one enemy 2 times. The first hit places a shield equal to 25% of the damage inflicted on all allies for 2 turns. The second hit heals all allies by 10% of the damage inflicted. So already, I mean, we're not talking, if you read his kit thinking about the damage he's going to be doing, or thinking about the simple one-target nature of his attacks, you're going to be let down. But if you read his kit and almost forget that he's attacking, but just knowing that he's putting a shield and a heal on everybody on a 3-turn cooldown, you're like, oh, okay, that's not bad, right? On the A3, Serpent Axes on a 4-turn cooldown attacks one enemy 2 times. The first hit has a 100% chance when booked of placing a decreased attack debuff for 2 turns. The second for 2 turns and a 100% chance, of removing any increased attack buffs. The second hit has a 100% chance of placing a decreased defense debuff for 2 turns and removing any increased defense. So this one I like less than the A2 because it's not a global effect, right? It's only pertaining to one enemy and it's on a 4-turn cooldown, but there's not many HP-based champions that have debuffs to begin with, especially decreased attack and decreased defense on the same skill. So you can actually use this dude in Clan Boss, right? Or Fire Knight, right? Clan Boss, Fire Knight, Doom Tower, Hard Secret Room that I'd mentioned before. He's like my MVP in that area. Unfortunately, we're not on that rotation right now, so I can't show you him there. But he's doing the most damage and the most heals, right? Because of the A2 and the most shield, for that matter as well. So turn meter, heals, shields, and debuffs on a single target. Good for bosses too. Good for the red boss on Barbarian Faction Wars. So there's definitely some utility you can get out of this champion. And honestly, I agree. I would put him like a B, right? I would grade him maybe a B for an epic champion, maybe a B minus. So I'm pretty much in line with these scores here. I think most people would probably rank him. My sense is maybe like a C champion, but I think he's a little bit better than that, although he's niche. His base stats are pretty solid, on point. 98 speed, 1100 defense, 20k, over 20k on the HP, which is really good for an HP-based champion, obviously. So let's go ahead and take a look at his multipliers, because obviously that is going to matter in terms of the shield and the heal. it is a 0.12 on the average damage grade on the A1 on both hits, two-time hitter, and another two-time hitter at a 0.17 on the A2, which is an average rating. I will say that a 0.3, right, 0.32 when you add it up is not bad at all. It's not bad at all, right? Actually, 0.34, my bad. That's a decent amount of damage. That's like the same as an Eric's big nuke or something, you know. Granted, it's on an AoE. So the reason I'm mentioning the damage, obviously, is not about the damage. It's about the heal and the shield, right? So you can get a decent heal and shield. And then on the two-time hitter on the A3, we have a 0.18 multiplier. Again, they're all 2 times hits. So let's go ahead and show you how I built this champion. Unfortunately, there's no lore on Baroth the Bloodsoaked. I would say he's a little bit of an obscure champion. What about you guys? You think that's fair? Where am I going? What am I doing? What day is it? What year is it? Who are you? Who am I? Why is my champion tab not opening right now? All right, here we go. We're back in business. You know what bothers me? A little tiny rant here, guys, is some areas of the game not counting a champion as most recently used in the tab, like, you know, Hydra, for example. Live Arena wasn't working in that regard either. Baroth, I just used him, I could have sworn, in preparation for today's video. But we'll get to him right now. I'm done vamping here. I could have just been nice to you guys and cut this out, but instead I'm keeping you with me. So I want to, you know, you may have noticed this theme. I did the same thing with Gear Grinder when I did a guide on him on this channel. But on a very niche champion who I'm using in one particular area, again, secret rooms, I like to give as much utility as I can to them because, you know, he's already bringing a shield and a heal. I figured, okay, we'll get a little bit of damage, we'll get some debuffs, we'll get some turn meter, and we'll also get a shield buff, right? So I put him in a shield set, right? So he's an HP-based champion anyway. The shield, excuse me, is based on the wearer's HP, right? So it's going to scale really well. Why not get some extra utility out of this champion, especially in those challenging areas where he's just there to support the team? So I put him in a shield set, and I really love that decision, right? In terms of stat priorities, it's going to be really 2 things, primarily. 100% crit rate and a lot of HP, right? He's an HP-based champion. We want him to stay alive. And 100% crit rate, we want to get some damage out of him for that A2 ability. We still have to upgrade the shield so we can bump that defense up a little bit more. But, I mean, that's pretty much it. I would say priority number 3 should be accuracy, and I could probably stand to gain a little bit in accuracy. I think I made the sacrifice for HP on the banner for a little bit of a girthier shield in exchange for some accuracy on those debuffs on the A3. But you know what, guys? I am going to throw on accuracy because I think most of you guys are going to want to get this dude with some want his accuracy to be enough where you're actually getting utility out of that A3. So now accuracy on the banner, we have speed on the boots, we have HP percentage on the chest piece, and we have crit rate on the gauntlets. Again, if you want to build this guy to get even more heals, even more shield, and even more damage, then sure, try to like, you know, build him for everything, aka more damage, aka putting crit damage on the gauntlets and trying to find that crit rate and that accuracy and that speed and that HP percentage on the substats. It's just more challenging to do it that way. But for me, I think you can get by just fine having this dude with 100% crit rate and with crit rate on the gauntlets. For masteries on Baroth the Bloodsoaked here, we went down the left-hand side. We kept it super simple on the offensive tree, just getting a little bit more damage out of those multi-hit attacks on all of his abilities. So we did go War Master. I don't think, even with a double hitter on every ability, I think War Master is still going to be better than Giant Slayer. On the support side of things, we did go with the accuracy because we clearly really needed it. But I also want to say, you know what? Let's reset. Now that I have the accuracy on the banner, I don't feel like I need the accuracy on the support tree, and we had a free reset anyway. So let's just come down the left-hand side again of the offense tree, and then let's go HP instead. And let's bolster up that heal instead, right? Get a little bit more healage out of this champion. I think for the way that I'm using him, I think that's going to be the way to go. Increase the value of his shields while we're at it, right? And then he's bringing the shield. You know, I will pick up a little bit of accuracy on Swarm Smiter. I have him in a shield set, so I'm not going to worry. I'm going to go Cycle of Magic. And then, I don't know if I want to go Lasting Gifts or Spirit Haste. What do I have for percentages here? 100% chance at landing the debuffs. I don't need Sniper. And then he's bringing a shield. I don't know. There's no like super obvious way to go here for me. I'm gonna go with just Kill Streak and Spirit Haste. All right, so those are the new masteries. Want to get a little bit more healage and shieldage out of this champion. All right, guys, that's the build. I think I showed you, but just in case if I didn't, I have accuracy, crit damage on the amulet, and HP on the ring. I do have a speed set on him as well because I don't want him super slow. I mean, the faster the better on this champion. I'm just not going to stress myself out trying to build him with, perfect speed. All right, so here we go, guys. Let's go into Faction Wars with Baroth the Bloodsoaked here. We had the Barbarian Crypt open today. We're going to go stage 21 against the Red Boss. And here's the squad. We get Yakarl the Scourge. We have War Maiden. We have Zephyr Sniper. We have Sylvedrix. I love you, Syl. And then we have Baroth the Bloodsoaked. So we'll see what he can do here in terms of damage, in terms of healage, in terms of support. Let's just try this champion in action here. So here he goes. He's in the... I'm kind of hogging his place over there. There we go. A little bit better. So his damage, or I shouldn't say his damage, but with that turn meter on the A1 and the debuffs, his real utility here on the waves is going to be just supporting the team. You can already see the shield, that he's bringing to the team, not to mention the shield at the beginning of the round and the shield on the A2, the heals on the team. So he's a support champion early on. Once we get to the boss, he's going to kind of shift to be a control champion in a debuffer with the A1 and the A3. So we're going to rely more heavily on the A2, on the waves, and then the A3, the A1 on the bosses. And that same thing goes basically for everywhere on this champion. So overall, I feel like this guy is a pretty niche champion. I would not upgrade him unless you're struggling with Faction Wars, or your end game, or approaching the area where you're focusing right now on Doom Tower hard secret rooms. If you're anything like me, you try to beat every secret room, right? Like that's my goal, even though you don't get anything special for it, right? But I like to kind of develop these teams, and that's a tricky one. HP-based epics only. You're looking at like Vogoth. There's obviously a few others, but there's not that many. So definitely useful there as well. And this can be a decent overall support champion for dungeons and progression. But for me, I did invest in him, and I didn't do it just to make a guide. I did it because I wanted him on my team, So I definitely found utility out of him, but it was only, I'd be lying if I told you it was more than one very particular area. So that's my assessment on this champion. I don't think he's trash. Like a lot of people seem to. He's not one of the best epics in the game or anything like that, but he does have his utility, which I really respect about any champion. As long as they have a use case in this game, then I'm okay with it, right? And I'm curious to see what he'll do in terms of, you can see he's putting those debuffs on. We also have War Maiden for the AoE debuffs, right? But it's nice to have another decreased defense champion on the team. Red Boss is now without his guards, his minions. We have the 3-turn decreased defense. I didn't see. Oh, that must have been War Maiden. Ooh, Yakarl coming in there with some big nukes. Some big nukes. Unfortunately, we're frozen right now, so that sucks. And now we're provoked. Oh, man. He's a good kind of tank for the team. Unfortunately, he doesn't carry provoke in his own kit, right? And now he's frozen. Cool, man. This is your big moment. This is your big spotlight, dude. And you're just going to be provoked and frozen the entire time, huh? You're going to blow it. You're really going to blow it, Baroth. There we go. It lands on Yakarl this time. He's actually going to get a shot to do some attacking here, guys. Here we go. And he goes in with... What one was that again? I don't know. Either way, this version of the Red Boss is kind of annoying, but I don't find him incredibly difficult either. The one who has the freezes and the provokes. Yeah, I've said this before in previous videos recently too, so sorry for repeating myself, but I feel like Dwarf, Faction Wars, and Dwarf, Demon Spawn, and Night Revenant, at least for me, back in my day when I completed them, those are the ones I had the biggest challenges with. But anyway, guys, there it is. A guide on Baroth the Bloodsoaked. I think he's a pretty cool champion. Again, I mean, look at his healage there. it wasn't much, but granted, he was frozen for the most of the final battle there, but bringing some control, bringing some shield, and bringing some damage as well, right? So again, I think that unless you're really struggling with support on Faction Wars or until you need him in that HP stage, probably a good take to 50 and see what you think on this champion before fully investing in him. Thank you for watching, and as always, take care, guys.